You dream of waking up to the sound of waves while sipping your morning coffee and watching the sunrise over the ocean on your island paradise? Or strolling on a white sandy beach in the late afternoon, smelling the salt breeze and searching for shells? If you do, you're watching the right video because I had those dreams too. Pack your bags, fasten your seatbelt, and join me for the first of several videos on the distinctive island where I live my dream. A distinctive island that goes by many names. A distinctive island where your next home may be waiting. Google Bogue Banks, and you'll learn that it is a 26-mile-long barrier island off the southeast coast of North Carolina in Carteret County. It is one of more than 160 barrier islands along the east coast of the United States. So, what makes Bogue Banks so distinctive? Let's find out. For starters, I grew up going to the Jersey Shore, where single engine Cessna airplanes stirred the air and towed banners up and down the beaches, advertising some amusement park or some all you can eat restaurant. This was part of the beach experience, or so I thought, until I visited Bogue Banks for the first time. No droning Cessna stirring the air along this stretch of the North Carolina coast. Instead, it was the distinctive thwop, thwop, thwop sound made by a squadron of helicopters hugging the shoreline about 150 feet above the beach, transporting Marines from Camp Lejeune to the nearby Cherry Point Marine Air Station. If that didn't tell me I wasn't in Jersey anymore, not seeing a single banner screaming "Kids Eat Free" among them did. A second distinctive feature of Bogue Banks is that this East Coast barrier island faces south. This orientation allows me to view the sunrise and sunset over the ocean. How cool is that? A third distinctive feature is the dearth of commercialism. Business establishments are low key and discreet, confined to widely spaced pockets along the island's spine. Highway 54, also known as Emerald Drive. A fourth distinctive feature of Bogue Banks is that it is surrounded by real people living in real life communities. Along with those marine establishments to the west and north, plenty of shrimp boats and farmland are in plain sight or just around the corner. The folks I've met while exploring Bogue Banks are earnest, honest, and unfailingly polite. I've never had so many people address me as sir, and I'm not just referring to men and women in uniform. And when I go on a walk, I feel like I'm running for mayor for all the hand waving I do. And this has continued for some 25 years. Is it any wonder that the motto for the town of Emerald Isle is "Nice Matters"? A fifth distinctive feature of Bogue Banks is the abundance of shrimp and blue crab. Along Emerald Drive, brick and mortar fishmongers and pop up stands sell shrimp for under $10 a pound. And it's not the foreign shrimp you buy at Costco. Once you've tasted a Carolina brown or white shrimp, you'll never go back. At many of these stands, sometimes simply a station wagon with a cooler on the tailgate, locals know to ask whether the shrimp still have their heads on. If the price per pound includes them, a grimace or some hesitation on your part usually results in a drop in the price or the heads. As for that other crustacean, head out to Bogue Sound with chicken baited hand lines and crab traps. But go early. The rising sun's rays send the crab into deeper, cooler water or sand and mud for relief. Better yet, do what I do and head over to Willis's Seafood in Emerald Isle on Emerald Drive, or drive east about 10 miles to quaint Salter Path and stop at one of several old houses with signs advertising that morning's catch. A sixth distinctive feature of Bogue Banks is the diversity of the island's communities. Emerald Isle, on the western end of the island, is an upscale residential community. Incorporated in 1957, Emerald Isle looks like a planned community consisting mainly of beach homes, many built back from the beach amid stands of live oak and cedar trees. The few commercial developments, a shopping center, grocery stores, realty offices, a small scale water park, are understated and well camouflaged. It's like being in a small town college community in New England, only better. It doesn't snow in Emerald Isle, and it is impossible to find any McDonald's or Starbucks unless you drive over the bridge to the mainland. Emerald Isle took its name from the greenish hue of the water here, which is unusual for any beach north of South Florida. An offshore sandbar creates waves ideal for body surfing and indeed for surfboards, which dot the water near the Bogue Inlet fishing pier every evening. Because of the low density housing, the beach in Emerald Isle, compared to the Jersey Shore, will never be considered crowded. Head east from Emerald Isle and drive to Salter Path, the oldest community on the island. With its bungalow architecture, it looks like a black and white snapshot from the 1940s. Further east is the planned community of Pine Knoll Shores, the beach town built among a maritime forest. At the eastern end of Bogue Banks is Atlantic Beach, an older, more typical resort with amusement parks, cheesy architecture, and plenty of noise. On Bogue Banks, you are sure to find a community to match your personality. Things feel familiar and comfortable, like a pair of comfortable shoes. The past and the present, the working folks and the vacationers, all exist right alongside each other like old friends. The seventh distinctive feature of Bogue Banks is its name. People have puzzled over its derivation for centuries. The most accurate one is the one you hear least, Bogue Banks. This name, Bogue, first appeared on maps in the early 1700s, identifying the island, the sound, or body of water that separates the barrier island from the mainland, and the inlet at its western end. Yet no one knows the origin of the name Bogue. It's not a personal name. It didn't come over from England. It's not Native American. It's not a word from another language. It's not a descriptive word. It's neither flora nor fauna. Its origin remains a mystery. And then we can ask, why the title Banks rather than Island? After all, from Maine to the southern tip of Florida, there are 165 barrier islands. All are designated islands, except for four: Currituck, Core, Shackelford, and Bogue, which carry the name Banks. The word Banks is most strongly associated with the Grand Banks fishing grounds, a submerged ocean plateau in the North Atlantic, made famous in the book and the movie The Perfect Storm. Perhaps when the earliest explorers viewed these land masses from their tiny ships, what they saw reminded them of river banks, However, these barrier islands are neither, making the word banks as mysterious as the word Bogue. Official North Carolina highway maps do not identify the Outer Banks, nor do National Geographic or Rand McNally maps. Maybe that's why most tourist brochures use Crystal Coast or the southern Outer Banks rather than Bogue Banks. If you have a thought on this subject, leave it in the comments below. Please give me a like if you learned something, and do subscribe to Emerald Isle Vacation Home Specialist. It's free. Click on the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. Thanks so much for watching.